Hi, Acadiana. Meteorologist Dave Baker here on a Monday, July the 14th. I hope you all had a great weekend, had those hot, humid conditions all weekend long, and it looks like that's going to continue for much of this week. But we also have a bit of tropical weather that we may be talking about. If you were with us for Let's Talk Tropics most of last week, we were paying attention to the southeastern U.S., a little bit of a trough coming in, a front stalling out, and now we've got a bit of a disturbance over on the Atlantic side. But the way the mid and upper levels are kind of setting up, it appears that it's going to pull this thing across Florida and into the Gulf waters. So we're going to go through some of the stuff here. I'm sure over the course of the weekends, those of you who are on social media are seeing quite a bit of stuff online, especially Facebook and Twitter. You're catching on to some of that stuff there. And we're going to continue to cover some of this as we go through time here in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and try to get started here as we are looking at quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity that's currently out there right now. And it does appear that we're going to see some of these scattered showers and thunderstorms out there throughout the afternoon. So as we go through, we are going to be looking at the possibility of some tropical weather kind of pulling in here off toward the east. So as we go through here, kind of waiting for this stream to go ahead and get started, we do have temperatures that are holding right around 90 degrees right now. And we are going to be looking at the chances for those showers and thunderstorms continuing to kind of fire up. Therefore, hi, Lakeland, Florida. Welcome to Let's Talk Tropics. You guys are probably seeing some a little more cloud cover out there off toward the east where we could see the possibility of some tropical weather kind of coming in your direction. So do keep that in mind. You're probably going to have some serious rains there over parts of central Florida coming up here over the next couple of days. And then some of that is going to be starting to drift its way off toward the west. So it looks like here, I'm sorry I'm kind of delaying here a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that the stream is going. Had a little problem with it this morning, but it looks like I've got some concurrent viewers rather, and I'm also starting to get some, might be my phone that's going down here. It does appear that my Wi-Fi might be going down here on my phone at least right now. So let's go ahead and continue to move along. So right now it's 90 degrees here in Lafayette. Our feels like temperature is currently at 100, dew point at 75, and 63% is where our humidity is hanging out. Right now, some of the local roadways are looking okay. We've got a mix of sun and clouds out there, but there are some areas where we're seeing some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there too. Hi, Sherlock. How's it going on this Monday morning, or Monday afternoon, rather? Let's take a quick tour of some of our tropical cameras here. We've got Orange Beach, Alabama, looking pretty good. Dauphin Island, Alabama is looking fine there. Biloxi, we've got mostly sunny skies. Working our way back toward Cocodrie, we've got a mix of sun and clouds, some scattered showers and thunderstorms starting to develop. Not as much there off toward the southwest over in Galveston right now. But if you are going to be doing some boating, the winds and seas are going to be pretty nice out there. It looks like southwest breeze is about 5 to 10 knots, seas running about 2 to 3 feet. So let's get started with what we've got going on locally. We've got those pop-up showers and thunderstorms that are coming up once again, covering Beauregard, Allen, and then pushing down into northern portions of Acadia Parish. A little spotty here in Lafayette Parish, but we're going to probably see some rain here in the city within the next half an hour or so. But it's pretty much your garden variety showers and thunderstorms that you would normally see during the month of July. And as far as the radar a little bit farther out, you can see some thunderstorms by Dallas, and then there's some moisture coming off the Florida coast and some widely scattered showers out there over the Gulf. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing, obviously, that's going to show up on here is what we're looking at. And I know a lot of folks have been seeing this stuff on social media with some really crazy solutions. And we actually do have some big-time solutions, at least on one computer model. But we've got kind of some disturbed weather there and the gathering of the moisture and low pressure starting to develop, but we've got more of a ridge of high pressure here and more of an upper low out over toward the south. So that unfortunately is going to kind of steer things in that direction westward across Florida and then perhaps moving into the northern part of the Gulf. And the tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center kind of indicates that as well. So what we've got out there in the Atlantic is expected to cross over in the Gulf and right now has about a 30% chance for some development. development. And that kind of goes along with the Euro tropical formation forecast. It's kind of up that range into the 30 to 40% area there along the northern Gulf Coast. So that's a little bit of a change from what we were seeing with that forecast last week, and that's for this week. And then the global tropics hazard outlook, which is actually going to get updated tomorrow, this was already showing the possibility of some development here along the northern Gulf Coast. So let's go ahead and get into the analytics of it all. Right now, the Gulf, for the most part, is fine. We've just got some fair weather clouds. We've got a few scattered showers and thunderstorms out there, but the area that we're watching is over here east of Florida. Again, you got that ridge of high pressure up to the north, and you got more of an upper trough here over the Gulf. So anything that's over here, over by Florida, is probably going to take more of a westerly or perhaps a northwesterly track. Now, some of the things that we're looking at with the models is if this particular disturbance wants to hug the land there on the northern Gulf Coast, obviously it wouldn't have much of a chance. But if it wants to go out into the middle part of the waters and stay over the waters a bit longer and go over the loop current and some extremely warm waters over the northern Gulf, that would be conducive for some decent development. And that rotation there, you can see that upper level low a little bit better here on the water vapor there. You get that moisture that's kind of rotating around. Sorry about my telestrator. It does this all the time. But we're talking about anything that's over here is going to kind of come in that general direction here over the next 3 or 4 days. So what we're looking at is just kind of an area of low pressure. At this point, there's nothing organized. National Hurricane Center, though, is going to send reconnaissance aircraft out there tomorrow afternoon. At least that's the plan right now. And we'll have to wait and see if it's over land by that point in time, but they are going to send a plane out. But part of the reasons why we're kind of concerned about this is some of these water temperatures in the Gulf here are over 31 degrees Celsius. So you're in that 88 to 89 degree range, and you can see those water temperatures that are north of 85 degrees. That's basically anything that's in red on this map, covers the entire Gulf, and it gets a little bit warmer there off the Florida coast as well. So those water temperatures are definitely warm enough to sustain tropical activity. And in fact, for this time of the year, most of those eastern Gulf waters are in extreme territory. They're well above normal from where we should be this time of the year. Now, I got a lot of viewers here this afternoon, so there might be a few you newbies here to Let's Talk Tropics. So the tropical cyclone heat potential. So when you're looking at your water temperatures, this is taking the temperature of what the water is at the top, at the surface. But the tropical cyclone heat potential kind of measures how deep those 80-degree waters go. The deeper they are, the more heat content you have, and sometimes a tropical system can tap into this as some extra fuel, some like premium fuel, and can really ramp up quickly. That's kind of where we see some of that rapid intensification. So even though that's not really in the forecast models, except for maybe one global model, it is a concern because one of the things when it comes to hurricane forecasting is, the direction and landfall. You get that cone there, and we're pretty good at getting that forecast right of where a tropical system is going to go, but it's the intensity. The forecasting intensity on hurricanes is still very, very difficult. So the more tools we have, such as like the tropical cyclone heat potential map, the better we can be to kind of foresee some of that rapid intensification that sometimes happens with tropical systems. So we'll deep dive here into the models, and because this tropical system is so close, rather than the usual looking out 10 days, I'm just going with the models going out 5. And if you look at the GFS here, you see a lot of moisture building there along the northern Gulf Coast, a little bit of a low there traveling across Florida, and then you see a little bit of a weak low pressure area perhaps over the southeastern Louisiana coast by the time we get to the end of the week. But the GFS model is pretty inconclusive on any kind of tropical system forming, but it is forecasting some widespread rain, and depending on how close that moisture reaches the Gulf Coast will depend on the amounts of rain. Right now, the forecasts are showing a lot of the heavy stuff staying in the offshore waters, but any movement closer to the northern Gulf Coast could really change those rainfall forecasts. Euro model, which is kind of the one that a lot of us do trust a little bit more when it comes to tropical weather, is showing basically the same what the GFS is showing. Bit of a low pressure area there off the Florida coast initially, and we'll go ahead and let it start over here. And you see that low and the moisture associated with it kind of drifting across Florida and then holding along the northern Gulf Coast and then rolling its way westward with its moisture over toward Louisiana. And as far as Thursday's forecast, which I'm kind of stopping all the models on Thursday, maybe showing a little bit of a lower area of pressure. I would say this is not a tropical depression, maybe getting close, but at this point in time, I think the Euro is still showing no storm at this point. Canadian model, which sometimes kind of overblows tropical systems, is showing a low pressure area. I would call this probably a tropical depression working its way westward and arriving in southeastern Louisiana by about Thursday. And when we stop the Canadian model there, you can see there's a very weak low pressure area near the New Orleans area by Thursday with a 1010 on the pressure. So you're probably talking about a weak tropical depression, but remember, these tropical depressions can also bring a lot of heavy rain. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a hurricane to be rough. I mean, if you remember the flood of 2016, and we kind of call that the unnamed storm because it was tropical moisture that was moving west along the northern Gulf Coast, but most of the low pressure was inland. But as we all know with the flood of 2016, when you get a tremendous amount of tropical moisture like that, you can get flooding. So this would be more of a rain event based on this particular model. Now, the one that everybody seems to be sharing on social media is the Icon. The Icon model is forecasting a full-blown hurricane to make its way into the southeastern part of Louisiana. Now, normally, I would kind of dismiss this particular model, and the reason I would dismiss it is because it doesn't come anywhere close to the other three computer model runs. But what's interesting about the Icon model is the previous runs are also showing tropical development. In fact, they're going with hurricanes. So when we look at our computer models, we want to compare them. And if you start to get agreement between the different hurricane models, you start to buy into the forecast a little bit. But you can also look at the latest Icon model, and then you can look at the run previously, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. And if you start to see some consistency like that, then you kind of got to bite a little bit. So the Icon model has actually been showing tropical development and kind of some significant tropical development here over the last several days now. So again, as much as I would want to go ahead and throw that one out because of the consistency of that particular model, we're probably not going to be, or that's one we just can't really throw out there. So portions of Florida are going to be on alert at least for the next couple of days. But as far as any tropical development happening at this point in time, I don't think we're too concerned. But the Icon model is the outlier, and the Icon model was the one that actually kind of showed what happened with Chantal last weekend way early. So again, can't quite throw it out, but because the other three models are showing something completely different, you can't really bite on the Icon completely right now. So GFS, just to review, the GFS and Euro are both calling for no storm. Canadian calling for a depression, and right now the Icon is calling for a full-blown hurricane. Now, because our time frame here is within 5 days, we can actually start to look at some of our higher resolution global models. And this is the NAM, and this is taking us Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm just going to kind of go back and forth. You see that little bit of a turn there in the northern part of the Gulf. So the NAM is based on the GFS. It doesn't look like there's anything super strong there, but some of our shorter range, higher resolution models are showing at least some kind of tropical tropical moisture or tropical development that could be moving across the northern part of the Gulf. So right now, I would prepare for significant amounts of rain as we go into the second half of the week. I've been saying since the early part of June that you should already have your supplies in place. And even on Friday, I kind of gave you a list of some of the things that you can go out to the stores and grab before there's any kind of a threat out here. I would assume now the stores are going to be just a little bit more crowded. I don't think anybody's going to be panic buying just quite yet, but I do think it's going to wake up a few more people and start to get that preparation done so they'll be ready for any kind of tropical weather to come by. Now, there are some inhibiting factors. The wind shear that's over Florida and the Atlantic and the Western Gulf is really low right now. So that is conducive for tropical development. But as we go into Thursday, you can see the wind shear starts to kind of pick up here right along the northern Gulf Coast. And, that would be an inhibiting factor for tropical systems trying to develop, because as they try to get going, if you have all of this wind shear, what ends up happening is you end up with a storm system that's not necessarily vertically stacked. It can kind of blow the thing apart. And when that happens, you get either slow development or the system gets torn apart completely. There's the graphic that I'm looking for. So if you've got no vertical wind shear, which is the top graphic, you see that nice vertically stacked system, and the tropical system or hurricane can intensify pretty easily. But if you look at the bottom graphic there, as that wind shear is blowing sideways across those outer thunderstorms, and if they can impact the core and get that core tilted or even break it apart, it has a much harder time with tropical development. So that's some of the things that we're looking at. Outside of that particular thing, the Central American region is looking fine. The Caribbean is nice and quiet. Although there's a lot of Saharan dust out there. Tropical Atlantic looks all right now, and so does the Eastern Atlantic. But I will say some of the extended models, Icon and Canadian, are starting to show a little action perhaps in the central and part of the Eastern Atlantic. And usually as we start to get into August, which is a little over 2 weeks away, you start to get those tropical waves to really hold on off the African coast, and they can start to move their way off toward the west. But like I said, there's a lot of Saharan dust out there, and that would be an inhibiting factor when it comes to any tropical development there. So again, we are going to be focusing a lot more on this particular area right here. It is forecast to drift westward across Florida. Reconnaissance aircraft will take a look at it tomorrow afternoon to see if we have anything developing. But remember, as it drifts off toward the west, it's not going to have a good time interacting with land. But once it starts to move back out over the Gulf waters, it might have a little bit more of a chance. So at this point, again, I'm just going to go ahead and put the list up here. I put it up on Friday, and I've been putting this list up every Friday and kind of giving you folks some homework and saying, hey, go ahead and get these things and have them right now when there's no threat. The batteries, the flashlights, water, non-perishable food. Make sure your first aid kit is supplied. And of course, make sure you know that you have enough medicine or where you would get prescriptions filled. Stock up on some personal hygiene and cleaners. Make sure you got your IDs, insurance, important papers. And a good idea with that is take a picture of it with your phone. That way you can save it as digital. And then, of course, always have a basic tool set, some entertainment for the kids, and all the pet supplies that you would need for any kind of tropical weather. So again, I know it's a little bit more short notice. If we're going to be seeing any tropical weather coming our way, it will most likely be late this week. So that's only giving you about 4 or 5 days. At this point, I'm not expecting anything significant, but because we still have one model that's been pretty consistent from model run to model run, still can't really close our eyes to this particular system here over the next couple of days. So just keep an eye on it. Maybe take stock of what you have at home. I found that I had a lot of these hurricane supplies still left over because I bought extras when we had the winter storm back in January. So some of you might have a few extra supplies because of that, but just look around, see what you got, and make sure you top off what you don't, and you'll be all ready. But at this point right now, I think we're going to be talking about a rain event, but we will watch it throughout the week and keep keep you updated as well right here on Acadiana Weather Today. Well, I hope you enjoy these broadcasts such as Let's Talk Tropics. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications. You can hear my daily forecast on Big 102.1, Planet Radio 106.7, and Freedom 95.1. And of course, follow my social media pages. I will post updates of the different models. Hopefully not doing it in a way that's clickbait. I'm not a big fan of the clickbait. So if I'm going to throw out new models out there, I'll probably throw out all 4 of the global models. That way all of you can compare those. And of course, all the links to everything that I use on Let's Talk Tropics are below in the description. So feel free to look. In fact, I encourage you to get in there and kind of look around, click around, and try to understand how these forecasts work. And you can even put your own forecast together if you feel like it. It's a whole lot of fun. Well, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Monday. Again, stick with my social media pages this afternoon and overnight, and I will see you tomorrow morning for Acadiana Weather Today around 7 right here on Acadiana Weather Today. I'm Meteorologist Dave Baker. Enjoy the rest of your Monday afternoon, and I'll see you on Tuesday.